tactical combat, a growing Viking settlement, and a good old revenge story tying it all together. That's the foundation of Norse, Oath of Blood, an isometric turn-based tactics game set in Viking-Age Norway, and this video is sponsored to give you a first look at how the game plays, how its systems connect, and what kind of experience it delivers. This isn't so much a review, more of an overview designed to help you understand what Norse is and whether it's a game you might want to check out for yourself. At the center of Norse is its narrative and storytelling. You play as Gunnar Gripsson, the son of a Jarl whose life is shattered when his father is killed. Cast out of his homeland and forced to flee with his sister Sigrid, Gunnar is left with nothing and nowhere to turn, until his uncle grants him stewardship over a wild, untamed island. This island becomes both your new home and your burden, filled not only with feral animals, but raiders, bandits, and even some more sinister elements that you'll come across. Gunnar must find the strength to not only deal with these problems, but honor his oath and unite his people. The key thing to understand is this: Norse is not an open world style game. It's a tailored, curated story focused on themes of redemption, resilience, and vengeance. That focus is reinforced by writing from award-winning author Giles Christian, and there's even a prequel audiobook available that's free to listen to. I do have that link in the description if you're interested. Another strong element is the voice acting that genuinely impressed me, as it's very good across both major and minor roles. This is especially important because there's a lot of dialogue, a good amount of cutscenes, and the game clearly wants you to be invested in its characters.
Whichever of you makes the most beautiful yet functional spearhead, he will have my forge.
There was nothing here to speak of but for a small farmstead. But now look.
That focus on story carries directly into the way that Norse is structured. The game is built around a clear loop. Missions move the story forward, followed by slower periods where you return to your village to build, prepare, and deal with any consequences or events. I'll break down each part of that loop, starting with the missions themselves. This is where your leadership and tactics are truly tested. Exploration with your party happens in real time, giving you the chance to scavenge for crafting materials, loot some of your dead enemies, or heal units by picking berries and eating dried meat. Everything you find strengthens your settlement. You might even find some hidden rune stones, granting you blessings from the different Nordic gods that help with the specific mission that you're on. Since these are handcrafted and narrative-driven scenarios, not all of them require exploration, changing things up and pushing the story forward by defending other Jarls or helping key characters and recruitable townsfolk. Which brings us to the combat, a modern, turn-based system that'll feel familiar to fans of XCOM or the genre in general. Combat zones are clearly marked during missions, and once you enter, everything shifts into that traditional, grid-based, tactical battlefield. Players deploy their warband into a limited area, and each warrior operates on action points that can be used to move, attack, or activate abilities in any order that you want. Positioning is critical. Target priority matters, and because you're outnumbered more often than not, strategic tactical decisions will mean the difference between life and death. One of the main systems to help turn that tide is momentum. Every enemy you kill fills the bar and increases your critical hit chance. More importantly, finishing an enemy with a critical hit triggers executions, brutal cinematic action cams that not only look cool, but fully restore all of your action points. That single mechanic is a game changer. It can swing an entire battle back in your favor. Some of my most memorable moments with the game were watching my berserker chain kills, tearing through 3 enemies in a row with executions. And it's always a pleasant surprise to see those animations when you attack an enemy and aren't really expecting it. Other interactions include combo attacks triggered by knocking enemies into another one of your units, or environmental factors like walls and fires being used to inflict status effects. There's even a War Tales-like engagement system you can use, as well as spears, rocks, and axes on the ground that can be thrown. The combat system overall is easy to grasp, but there's real depth once you start pushing the system. And we can't forget about the gear either. Starting from basic tunics and weapons, you'll loot and craft superior equipment in the village layer, which I'll cover next. These upgrades are crucial to forging your warband into an unstoppable force as you deal with stronger, more numerous groups of enemies. But even the best gear is only as strong as the warrior that's carrying it. And in Norse, who you choose to fight beside you is just as important. Each of your Hirdmen belongs to one of 5 specific classes, and every class class comes with its own fighting style and unique two-path skill tree. As they gain combat experience, new abilities are unlocked that let you shape their role on the battlefield. That can mean high mobility, chaotic berserkers that dual weld and leap across tiles to take down their foes, or powerful wreckers with two-handed axes that focus on battlefield control and multi-target attacks. Over time, your squad starts to feel personalized, not just through equipment, but how they're deployed in combat. That individuality is pushed further with character traits, positive and negative. Most of these are stat bonuses or debuffs, but others are a little less convenient. For example, I recruited an archer with the drunkard trait that starts every battle intoxicated. This means that he has a lower chance to hit his attacks, and if he misses one, he'll fall on the ground with the prone status effect. It adds a bit of unpredictability and personality, and honestly, it's kind of funny. Important to note here is that your main characters cannot die. If Gunnar falls, it's game over. But your recruitable Herdmen absolutely can, and when they do, it's permanent with no chance of getting them back. You lose the abilities you invested in, you lose the role they filled in your squad, and you lose the contributions that they make to the settlement. That risk-reward factor raises the stakes and changes how you approach combat. Characters here aren't just throwaways, they're investments across the tactical and strategic layer. Losing them cuts deep, and it makes every battle feel that much more significant. If you've played this style of tactical games before, you know just how brutal permadeath can be. Are you the type of player that reloads when someone dies, or do you let it ride and live with the consequences? Let me know in the comments. Between missions, you'll return to your settlement, Sudervik, which starts out as nothing more than a makeshift camp and gradually grows into something much bigger. The village is handled through a turn-based time management system. Each period, your townsfolk will have a limited number of action points to use, based on what projects you've built and what specialties your Herdmen have. Characters like the hunter, seamstress, and blacksmith can craft equipment, perform specialized tasks, or just offer a little bit of comedic relief, and any unused points will go towards generating specific resources at the end of each turn. Buildings and add-ons have different effects, from increased actions or reduced recovery time to a higher population cap for recruiting more Herdmen. This system limits how much you can do at once and adds a casual layer of planning, project, and resource management. The world map is the second part to this. Starting as a blank slate, this map will fill out as your sword fame increases, and Sudervik grows to become more of a bustling hub. Here you can trade and recruit with other allied settlements, meet merchants, and see which missions are available, as well as when you need to complete them by. Trading is a great way to get the last resources needed for that project you want to build, or even upgrade your equipment, as a lot of your allies will have items that your characters don't know how to craft yet. Honestly, once I figured this out, it kind of turned me into a little bit of a loot goblin, constantly scanning my allies' goods for that next rare piece of gear to acquire. But my biggest takeaway from this system is just how accessible it is. The settlement adds enough depth to feel meaningful without becoming overwhelming or turning into a full-blown 4X management sim. It strikes a nice balance with the narrative content and tactical missions, and because your warriors contribute both in combat and in the village, losing one doesn't only hurt in battle, it sets you back at home too. What really stood out to me by the end was how much more I enjoyed the game the further I got into it. The more I progressed, the more that rhythm of missions, management, and story set in, and once it does, the whole experience just flows. I found myself excited to finish one more project, explore one more mission, and outfit my warband with new abilities and equipment. That feeling carries you through a campaign that runs roughly 20 hours, long enough to get invested in the story and characters, but focused enough that it never feels like it's dragging out. Norse Oath of Blood is available on PC now, and I've got a link in the pinned comment below where you can purchase it on Steam or follow the game for yourself. For more turn-based tactics and strategy gaming content, feel free to subscribe or just click through to the video that's on screen now.